The northernmost of all our destinations takes us right up to the top of the Napa Valley to the little town of Calistoga, population just 5,000 people, 80 miles north of San Francisco and at the foot of Mount St. Helena, which rises 4,500 feet above the city.
And on the subject of rising above the city,
it's just after sunrise and the Napa Valley is bathed in early morning light. If you've never done this before, you should definitely do it now. And if you've done it before, you should do it again because there's nothing quite like it. It's the ultimate vertical takeoff, drifting slowly skywards in the crisp dawn air of Napa Valley's northernmost point.
And high over the landscape, on one of Calistoga Balloon's regular flights, pilot Bob Allen points out some of the area's top landmarks.
Right over here we have the Old Faithful Geyser, one of the 3 Old Faithful geysers in the world. And right up over here is Mount St. Helena, the tallest mountain in the Yakima Range. And over in this direction is the petrified forest, some of the biggest petrified trees in the world.
The flights last about an hour, and then it's back to Earth for breakfast and a champagne toast. Now, wasn't I discussing the merits of Calistoga?
For such a small area, it really is very impressive. There are many, many winemakers here, a couple of quite large ones, but without a doubt the most appealing thing is the number of small boutique-like wineries that specialise in providing a very personal wine tasting experience. And remember, Calistoga is home of the Big Reds. So let's go and try some. High up on a hill at the top of the Napa Valley on an eastern slope of the Yakima Range is, in the words of Robert Parker, the well-known wine critic, one of the steepest and most picturesque vineyards in all of California. We're talking about Storybook, famed for its Zinfandel, which since its release in 1983 has won countless awards, so it's obviously extremely good. Jerry Seps is the owner here at Storybook. Now you took over 76, is that right?
Yes, my wife Sigrid and I bought the place in 76. It was an old abandoned vineyard and we decided to bring it back into production. And our idea was to bring forth from this land all the potential it holds, and we looked at the soil and the climate, etc. And we found that Zinfandel would work best in this particular site.
Well, that sounds to me like it was a good choice.
Well, I think so.
There are about 400 barrels here, French, Hungarian and American oak, each giving slightly different qualities and different flavours and textures. Now that barrel holds about 300 bottles, so if you were going to drink about a bottle a day for a year, or a little less than a year, that's all you'd need.
Well, Simon, you've looked at the vineyard, you've seen what we're all about. It's now time to taste some of the wine. May I?
Thank you.
Storybook Yakima Range, our primary estate Zinfandel.
Fabulous. A Zinfandel from one of the finest Zinfandel producers in California. Tell me, by the way, why Storybook?
Well, you know we have kind of a fairy tale setting, and that's certainly part of it. But we were started by two brothers named Grimm, as I mentioned. And rather than call it the Grimm Vineyards as it was, we decided to call it Storybook Mountain.
Fitting. Although it is part of the Napa Valley, Calistoga seems somewhat to have been overshadowed by Napa, but Calistoga is the one with the best deal of all. It's got this fantastic small town atmosphere and a thriving tourist trade, most of whom are drawn to the geothermal hot springs, the mineral water, and California's Old Faithful geyser, which erupts every 40 minutes. Now, not only is the geyser a spectacular all-natural phenomenon, but it's amazingly considerate because it erupts about every 40 minutes, ensuring a minimal waiting time for the expectant audience. Marvellous stuff, exciting, educational, perfect for entertaining the whole family. And not only is it considerate, but it's also cost-conscious because the water produced is captured and used commercially. For example, it heats all the buildings here on the premises. Actually, it's not that hot. Ooh, it's hot. It's been suggested that the geyser is man-made. Well, okay, the vent is artificial, but it's tapped into a natural hydrothermal system, and some people say that it may have been simply opened up by an early settler. Apparently he was nearly blown to bits when it began erupting while he was drilling in the late 1800s. And elsewhere in the grounds there's a gift shop, a geothermal exhibit hall. That's the exhibits that are geothermal, not the hall. And then there's a picnic area, a snack bar, and the famous fainting goats. And this I've got to see. Well, they haven't fainted, but they don't exactly look well. Well, now here's a fine-looking establishment. I'm guessing, what, 1917, Mission Revival style? Oh, excuse me, what period is this building?
Oh, this is a 1917 Mission Revival style.
This gracious grand dame of a building is listed amongst the premier historic hotels of Northern California and is home to the newest restaurant to open in the Napa Valley. It's Stomp, with the restaurant on this side and the bar and cafe on the other. All of this was designed by renowned California designer Michael Berman, stylish with an airy elegance. And the proprietor is Robert Simon, a St. Helena resident who also co-owns the award-winning Bistro 45 in Pasadena. He calls the cuisine California wine country with European-inspired influences. What's that then? Let's take a peep inside the kitchen to get some answers.
We use organic product, locally grown product. We have a farm right around the corner that we use for a lot of our grains. We have some fish that we use straight from Bodega Bay, so it's locally grown, organic, fresh.
As for the wine list, there are over 350 choices and 40 wines available by the glass. If you're looking for a more casual experience, then maybe the cafe and bar is the place for you. A nice, relaxing place to have a drink and make yourself at home. And by the way, on Thursday to Sunday nights, there's live musical entertainment. If it's authentic small-town America accommodation you're after, then the Wineway Inn is definitely for you. It's one of the finest examples of craftsman architecture in town, and it's Calistoga's oldest B&B. The inn was converted from its original status as a craftsman-style family home in 1978, preserving the very best of the original architecture. The 6 guest rooms, all with private baths of course, have some original turn-of-the-century details like these beadboard walls. Through the back garden there's a little romantic cottage with French doors that open onto a private deck. And there's also a lovely patio where every evening guests are served complimentary cheese and wine. One of the inn's greatest attractions is its breakfast. And one of the most requested dishes is the bread and butter pudding, a recipe that features in Gillian's cooking classes. Want to see how it's done?
Is that it?
That's it.
Excellent.
But it's not just bread and butter pudding for breakfast. How about this lot? All served with the inn's own delicious coffee blend produced exclusively for them by the Calistoga Roastery. You might even want to take some home.
Buy it, I mean, not just take it. A real must-see, even in the heat of the Calistoga sunshine, is the Sharpstein Museum. It's full of just fantastic exhibits charting the history of the original hot springs resort from way back in 1862.
Amongst the exhibits, my personal favourites are this beautifully restored stagecoach, the California, rooms from a cottage in the original hot springs resort, and this incredible model of the entire resort which opened in 1862. I've just stopped off at City Hall to have a word with Jim McCann, he's city manager. You have a fine town here. What is it that attracts people to Calistoga?
It's a town that's got a lot of character. It's what many people think of as a small American town. It's here, it's real, it's very friendly. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to come visit. It's just a lovely, lovely town.
The story goes that in 1875, a penniless silver miner needed medical attention from Surgeon R. Beverly Cole, but he couldn't pay for it. He was given it for nothing, and in gratitude, he gave some inside information on mining shares in the legendary Comstock Lode, the greatest single silver strike in history. From the resultant fortune came La Palita del Monte, the little pearl of the mountain, the ranch which is now home to Richard Gracier's Gracier Winery.
Hi, welcome to Gracier Winery.
Thanks very much indeed. Now, I've heard a quote that there's not one shred of evidence that life should be taken seriously. Make fun of it. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, yes, that's my quote, and that has to do with my whole philosophy on life.
Excellent. And how does that translate into winemaking?
Well, it translates into letting the wines do what they want to do. My Cabernet Sauvignon, my Cabernet Franc, and my Merlot.
Now, I know there's a couple of things you want to show me, and then we're going to taste some wines.
Yes, there are. I'd like to show you my tasting room, and then I'd like to show you my little cottage that's available for my wine club members.
Excellent. Let's go.
Okay.
And this is the cottage, Rebecca's Villa as it's known now. Cute, isn't it?
So this is the tasting room, full of atmosphere, full of the bouquet of fine wines. And Richard is going to let me taste a Cabernet Franc, a Coeur de Lion, and a Cabernet Sauvignon, estate wines, wines made purely and only from grapes grown in his own vineyards. Let's go. Very smooth, a sheer delight. I'll take whatever he's got of all of them.
Thank you.
3 days and nights of world-class jazz and blues in the Napa Valley, with more than 25 bands showcased throughout the weekend in multiple venues. It's Calistoga's annual celebration of music, the Calistoga Jazz and Blues Festival.
The event kicks off here at the Culinary Institute of America over great food and local wines, including the Upper Valley's Big Reds. Taste the new releases, sample some fine foods, and enjoy the party. This is not a date to miss. Mark your calendar.
One of Calistoga's great restaurants is the Flatiron Grill. The owner is Mark Young, and I went to find out what it's all about.
We are a steakhouse. We're a neighborhood steakhouse. We wanted to appeal to the locals. I think there's enough high-end restaurants in the Napa Valley. We are open lunch and dinner 7 days a week, mostly steaks and chops and seafood in the evening, and lunch is more salad, sandwiches, and a more approachable menu at lunchtime.
And another of Mark Young's fine establishments is the classic American restaurant Brannan's, named after Sam Brannan, founder of the town.
Now look at this. This is seriously pretty. A Mediterranean-style B&B backing onto the river and very close to downtown Calistoga. But that's not exactly all though, is it? How unusual, how perfect. The Napa Valley, a casual getaway in a beautiful lodge, fun and informative cooking classes, put it all together and what do you have? Gourmet retreats. This is hands-on cooking for the experienced cook or beginner, taught in a professionally equipped kitchen. The classes are taken by Castellana's owner, Lana Richardson, or other guest chefs, and Lana's a graduate of the California Culinary Academy. There's a maximum of 8 participants with a variety of classes from 3 hours to 5-day learning holidays. And you don't have to go far for fresh seasonal ingredients around here. They're just out the back in the vegetable and herb garden.
As for the bed part of the B&B, well, there are 2 luxury ensuite rooms, more like little cottages really, each with their own private entrance. There's a fridge full of complimentary refreshments and a free expanded continental breakfast. And there you have it, B&B, cooking school, great setting, perfect holiday solution. Bye. This is the Calistoga Spa Hot Springs. It's just a block off the main street, and without a doubt, it's the best bargain in town. The rooms are unpretentious, but they're clean, they're comfortable, and they're air conditioned. And the main attraction, the place is overrun with spa facilities. There are separate men's and women's bathhouses where you can have a volcanic ash mud bath, which, despite the way it looks, is a muscle-penetrating deep heat treatment. That's followed by a mineral whirlpool, a steam bath and a blanket wrap, great for therapy and relaxation, and the ideal way to finish off is with a massage. The whole sequence is called the works and it takes about 2 hours. These 4 outdoor pools are filled with naturally heated mineral water with temperatures ranging from 80 degrees to 104 degrees. Nice, and for the price, really nice. Welcome to Calistoga Ranch, quite literally surrounded by the hills and designed to emphasize its completely natural setting and enhance the feeling of being right in the middle of the wilderness. It was opened in May 2004 with 46 beautiful guest lodges and a host of luxury facilities. Now the pool area is nothing short of divine, an immaculate pool, beautifully landscaped all around, some olive trees in the background. Lovely furnishings, big squashy towels on hardwood sun loungers. All this, of course, private to hotel guests. Stunning, absolutely stunning. And over at the restaurant, in the most spectacular setting, a couple of divine culinary creations are heading my way. What's on the menu today then?
Today we are serving seared ahi with celery root, sunchokes, and fennel.
Beautiful.
And for our second dish, we're serving the John Dory with the artichoke rondade and the fiend herbs jus.
That looks absolutely stunning. I truly envy the recipients of these dishes. Thanks for showing them to me.
My pleasure.
Now the spa is so very, very elegant. A peaceful waiting area, 5 treatment rooms, a geothermal massage pool and a soaking pool, and something like 50 alternative treatments to choose from. You may be stressed when you arrive, but you won't be when you leave. Just off the winding Porter Creek Road in Santa Rosa between the Napa and Sonoma valleys is a 400-acre African wildlife preserve and tent park called Safari West, the spirit of Africa in the heart of Northern California's wine country, in case you thought you'd got on the wrong flight. If you're coming to California with the kids, this is perfect, as it is, of course, for wildlife enthusiasts and pretty much anyone with a taste for adventure. These authentic vehicles take you into the hills for a total of about 2.5 hours, about an hour and a half on the truck, and then a walking tour. You can get right up close and personal with cheetahs and lemurs and walk through the aviary. It's absolutely brilliant. And finally, to complete the African experience, you have to stay overnight in one of the tent cabins with great views from the decks. They're more luxurious than you'd imagine from their description as tents, hardwood floors, a proper bathroom in each, and big soft beds. Just the thing to snuggle up to the sounds of the Serengeti. That's the wine country's Serengeti.
And right up over here is Mount St. Helena, the tallest mountain in the Yakima Range. And over in this direction is the petrified forest, some of the biggest petrified trees in the world.
The flights last about an hour, and then it's back to Earth for breakfast and a champagne toast. Now, wasn't I discussing the merits of Calistoga?
For such a small area, it really is very impressive. There are many, many winemakers here, a couple of quite large ones, but without a doubt the most appealing thing the northernmost of it again, because there's nothing quite like it. It's the ultimate vertical takeoff, drifting slowly skywards in the crisp dawn air of Napa Valley's northernmost point.
And high over the landscape, on one of Calistoga Balloon's regular flights, pilot Bob Allen points out some of the area's top landmarks.
Right over here we have the Old Faithful Geyser, one of the 3 Old Faithful geysers in the world.
Of all our destinations takes us right up to the top of the Napa Valley, to the little town of Calistoga, population just 5,000 people, 80 miles north of San Francisco and at the foot of Mount St. Helena, which rises 4,500 feet above the city.
And on the subject of rising above the city,
it's just after sunrise and the Napa Valley is bathed in early morning light. If you've never done this before, you should definitely do it now, and if you've done it before, you should do it. There's the number of small boutique-like wineries that specialise in providing a very personal wine tasting experience. And remember, Calistoga is home of the Big Reds, so let's go and try some. High up on a hill at the top of the Napa Valley on an eastern slope of the Mayacamas range is, in the words of Robert Parker, the well-known wine critic, one of the steepest and most picturesque vineyards in all of California.